how's your experience with ASCAP been? Do you get paid ever?
Yeah, a little. A little, but it took years. It took years. It's again, it's lots of online paperwork. It's really complicated. It's hard to get a hold of people to get answers, and in a lot of cases, for years, we weren't getting anything, and we'd have people look into it, and they'd say, I don't know, it seems like you're set up correctly. I'm not sure why you're not getting paid. That's like really the best answer they could come up with. The past four or so years, I would say, we've been getting a little bit of money, but I mean, we're talking about, I don't know, $125 over the course of a year or something like that.
That you wouldn't have gotten if you hadn't spent time chasing after it.
Right, it's true. I mean, in some cases, it's the only way to get paid. Like, it's the only way that we would ever get any royalties for being in that movie trailer, for example. That's going to happen through ASCAP. Sound Exchange, which I think only handles streaming royalties, also complicated, but definitely less work than ASCAP, and definitely paid us sooner. Right, Elizabeth?
Like, we got like $100 out of them too. Yeah.
Yeah, but like it was less work, and it didn't take years and years of chasing it. Right, so that seemed a little bit better. But in either case, it's like, yeah, if you're not on there, you might be missing out on some money. But it's really hard to know if it's much money and if it's enough to be worth it.
And we also get weird royalties. Like, we got royalties from Denmark. We got royalties from that UK version of Jersey Shore.
Oh, that's right.
We got some other weird royalties. So then
Geordie Shore.
We're like, oh yeah, Geordie Shore. But so we're like, well, what show in Denmark were we on? Like, I don't, and how you ever find that out, I don't know.
They send you, the reports they send you. Again, CD Baby ends up looking great here because their reports are really detailed. But whenever we get stuff from ASCAP, and it's not that.
No.
Down and figuring out what it was, and I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter. Just kind of curious, It's like this. There was a recent thing. It was like a snowboarding video or something, and it was like video. Okay.
But also, like, did someone in Denmark license our song? Like, who, like, right? If we were somehow being played in Denmark, wouldn't somebody have to license it from us?
We've signed up to too many sites, and we no longer we can't follow the money anymore. Like, we don't even know, who pulled the trigger, who made this happen, what percentage of the money we're missing out on. Like, who even knows? But the fact of the matter is if you were to strike it big, and all of a sudden you were to have a big hit song or something, and you weren't on ASCAP, then that'd be a problem because that's where you're going to get radio royalties.
Well, wait a minute, ASCAP and BMI are such bullies. Legion are the stories of them going into some barber shop, some 70-year-old Italian barber, and he has his Sinatra CD on, and they shake him down, And so you want to think that if they are that thorough on the one end, collecting for Frank, that they would be that thorough keeping track of Canasta's income. But it's just never been the case.
No.
To any band I've ever talked to.
No, not the case. And but yeah, just as a precaution, like on the off chance that some song of yours is going to take off, it's like you'd better be signed up with ASCAP or BMI before that.
But also, you just don't know. I mean, for all you know, the Colbert Report of Denmark is using a Canasta song every night, as its theme song.
Yeah.
And you may have no idea because the rights organization you're signed up with, has given you like minimal information and said you made $25, but.
Well, and it seems like, as I've kind of learned over the years, it doesn't seem to me that they go out of their way to collect the money. They kind of just wait for reports to come in. So you're really dependent on the degree to which that particular television station is reporting the bands that it's playing. You know what I mean? And so you're just kind of dependent on which radio stations are reporting. And I remember them saying once that, they can't actually track every radio station in the country. So what they do is they sort of just pick representative stations, and they sort of use that as like, well, we're just assuming this is an average station, and so if you're getting played on this station, then we can assume you're getting played on these other 50 stations or whatever. And so it's kind of, so even in situations where we've been paying for radio publicity and we've had songs playing, and we know for a fact they've been playing in like cool markets and cool stations and stuff, we've often not seen any money from that just because we got unlucky in that particular month. That station wasn't being tracked. Or that station didn't turn in reports or whatever, So it's, I don't know.
All right, but that's not new. I mean, that's as old as radio itself. What about the streaming? How have your interactions been with the streaming? You guys groaned audibly when Spotify was mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
So I mean, essentially, we get, I think you pointed out before, it changes depending on a lot of different things. I think depending on the membership that the Spotify user has, we may make more or less per stream or whatever, but at the end of the day, we tend to make somewhere around 0.04 to 0.07 cents per stream. And I understand, I get the fact that they don't, you're not actually, nothing, you don't end up with anything on your computer, you don't end up with anything in your possession, you're not getting a thing, so people don't seem to feel like they should have to pay much for that. But, considering that it was only a few years ago that we were bummed out about CD sales kind of dipping, and then we tried to sort of, soothe ourselves by saying, well, at least iTunes is making a little bit of money for us. Now Spotify seems to be taking big chunks out of our iTunes and out of our digital sales. And for us to make the amount of money off of a downloaded track that we would have made from iTunes, somebody has to stream a track of ours on Spotify 170 times, tends to be the average. And when it's $10 a month to stream endlessly with a few ads here and there, I just don't know why. It's hard to imagine anybody spending $10 on iTunes, download of a record. I mean, why would they? So it's just getting tougher in that regard. But you can listen to it on your phone or at the gym or in the car, and and that's. I've heard some people say don't whine about it. It's like whining about the Walkman, in 1990 or 1985 or whatever. I don't know. It's a little bit rough, but I as a music fan, I understand the appeal of having access to all that music all the time. But as an artist, I've been not using it. I've not been listening to it.
And the thing I can say, at least in Pandora's defense, is that Pandora is at least exposing people to new stuff. I don't know that anyone's going to Spotify and is listening to anything new. They're just listening to things that they want to hear and like. And
right, for recommendation, I'm on Pandora. It's like if you pick a Arcade Fire channel, and then eventually Canasta might come up or something, and it's like, oh, I dig this. But yeah, on Spotify, you're just listening to whatever you want to listen to. So no, yeah, hardly anyone's getting exposed to new stuff. At least doesn't seem to me.
So you guys are with Tom York on that?
Yeah, is that his take?
Yeah, he's anti-Spotify, yeah.
Yeah.
They promised big increases in the next couple years as they've changed their model. We'll see. I mean, I'll be anxious to see what they come up with next. But yeah, currently it just seems like it's making things real rough for anybody that isn't already a pretty big band.
How about good old-fashioned physical product? Do you guys still press vinyl? Do you bring CDs to gigs? Do you, when you're looking ahead to this next record, what's your plan to have actual stuff to sell?
We'll do CDs for sure, probably less than we've done before, because whereas we used to sell, 30 CDs and we'd play a street fest or something, now we're lucky if we sell like 7, something like that. So we'll press a lot less. I'd love to have vinyl. Our last record was too long, so it would have been double vinyl, and it just didn't make sense to spend the money because we didn't think we'd be able to sell enough to, make it back. But what else on top of that, Elizabeth? I mean,
at our CD release, we also at our CD release we made the CD included in the ticket price. So the last time we did a CD release, anyone that came got a CD with it, with the intent of just getting more CDs in people's hands. So
that's what Prince did.
Yeah.
On the last arena tour, if you bought the ticket to the arena concert, you got the CD.
And he knows that people are coming a lot. Most people are coming for the old stuff, but he's excited about his new stuff and wants people to hear it, and that's a great way to get it in their hands. I mean, I forgot for a second that part of this interview was we're supposed to be imparting whatever advice we can on some bands, and that worked out really great for us. It's like normally a ticket price for our show would be maybe just like $10 or something. So instead, I think we upped it to $13 with the venue's approval, of course. And everybody who came got the copy of the CD, and so instead of selling 50 CDs at a CD release for $10 a piece, we had kind of sold 400 for $3 a piece. But everybody who was there, left with the music in their hands, and that's what at the end of the day you want people to hear it and have it and enjoy it, and so it was a win-win for everybody. That was definitely the way to go. And considering how few people seem to buy CDs at shows these days, I really can't imagine ever going back to the old, like, hey, on your way out the door, $10.
I like that idea. Yeah,
that was great. So that was huge for us. I've mentioned that to a lot of bands, and yeah, definitely go that route if you can. If the venue's okay with it, you know what I mean? If some venues don't trust you to bring enough people in and they're like, you know, $13, that's kind of a lot. You know, I don't want to have 10 people at the show, you know? So you got to talk to the venue.